It was just a few weeks ago when Nancy Lopez and Jack Nicklaus were part of a very patriotic time at a course called American Dunes in Grand Haven, the Folds of Honors new golf course. And because of another commitment, I couldn't be there that day. And Nancy has been kind enough to schedule a time to join me so we can talk about golf. We can talk a little American Dunes. We can talk SymMetra Tour, LPGA Tour. She knows a little bit of everything on all these topics. And so thank you, Nancy, for taking some time to join me.
Sure, Bill. Thank you.
Well, let's start right with that headline that I led with a moment ago. I wasn't there at American Dunes, but I have been a couple of times. What a special property with all of the patriotic theme running through its veins there.
It was one of the best weekends I've spent anywhere for a while. Major Dan was there, of course, and I got to play golf with him and his father. We only played 9 holes with them. And, Jack was there, Barbara was there. It was just a special weekend with people that love their country, that care about the people that we've lost. The big flag that stands right in the middle of the holes when you're teeing off. I think it's number 1 and number 9 or 18.
9, yeah.
And how special that is, because I love my flag. I think it's just beautiful. And when you first walk in, the ceremony and walking in and seeing all our fallen soldiers on the walls there to remember them. It was a weekend of non-politics, which I needed that. Too many politics going on right now. And it was just so patriotic. I always say I bleed red, white, and blue. I love my country. Jack Nicklaus stands for that. Major Dan stands for that. All the people that were there. It was like going to church. Everybody is there for the same reason. And I just loved it. It was so special. And I'm hoping in a couple of years when they build, I believe it's going to be called the camp, they are going to have, I think, 16 rooms. And I have a company called Nancy Lopez Golf Adventures, where I would like to bring my very patriotic golfer friends, people that have tried to learn golf with me and my 2 cohorts, Sue Powers and Teresa Zamboni, and bring them there to enjoy what I felt that weekend. And, to hear the taps being played at 1 o'clock, to stop whatever you're doing and just, put your hand over your heart and listen to the taps and then the bells ringing. And it was just a great weekend. Very inspiring.
Yeah, it's a powerful setting. And as you mentioned, at 1 o'clock, which is 1300 hours, which is connected to the 13 folds required to properly fold the American flag to present it to the loved ones of a fallen hero. The whole thing is just so well thought out, and it's such a powerful experience. And I know it was made even more special by having you there on that day. Nancy, you're an ambassador of this game. You're one of those iconic figures that goes beyond what you did with a club in your hands and really what you've done since then. I'm wondering if you ever get tired of it. Do you ever just want to say, you know what, forget about the fact that I'm associated with golf. Let me just live my life. Or is this so deeply ingrained in your blood that it's just a day after day kind of part of life?
I love that God gave me some talent to play golf. And if I can make somebody smile, I like to do that. And to be a part of helping people love golf the way that I still love golf. That was what I wanted to do when I left the LPGA tour. What was I going to do after that? And it was more of how could I bring more people to golf? And at that time, I had approached Sue and Teresa, both top 50 teaching division teachers on the LPGA teaching division. And I looked at them, I said, I want to do something with golf. I want to bring people to golf, women, men, whoever wants to play this game, and help them to love it the way that I do. And so we started Nancy Lopez Golf Adventures like 6 years ago now. And we have brought so many people to golf, I feel like. We've taught them a lot of the philosophies that my dad taught me, which our mantra is play happy, which my dad always told me I played better when I played happy. And people interpret in different ways, but it's all about your attitude, what you're going to do when you're hitting the shot, and how to get through a bad shot. So I wanted to just help people love the game and learn it, and learn how to hit a good shot by practicing something that they were shown. I think a lot of people get out on the golf course and they don't know what they're working on, and they just keep trying and trying, and they're just not going to get better unless they really know what to work on and how to make it better. So, excuse me, that's my way of giving back to golf, is bringing people to golf and making them happy when they're out there. And I think that we've accomplished that so far in these 6 years of teaching.
As you and I speak, I am in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan at the Island Resort Championship, which is a SymMetra Tour event. And they've got a great tradition up here with this event. And I have seen a number of the players kind of getting ready, practice rounds, pro-ams are coming up the next couple of days. And I kept thinking to myself, knowing that you and I were going to speak, I wonder what the version of the SymMetra Tour would have been when Nancy Lopez was 19 or 20 years old. I don't think there was any organized developmental circuit, was there, for young ladies?
Bill, there was nothing. If you didn't qualify, and we only had one qualifier a year, and if you didn't qualify, have allergies, sorry. If you didn't qualify for your card at that one qualifier, there was no place for you to play golf, because now you're a professional. You can't really go back and play amateur events. So most of those players had to go back, find a job, work on their golf game, and work to be able to support themselves. And then when the next qualifier came along, then try again. So we didn't have anywhere to go play and maybe get the experience of, the pressure and have a little bit of financial support that these players do get to have. And thank goodness they have more tournaments now. The purses are a little bit bigger. It's still their livelihood, and for them to go out there and play, there's so many young women out there trying to reach their dream of LPGA golf. And, some are going to fall short. Some might make it, some make it, and then they end up coming back to the SymMetra Tour because they lose their card on the LPGA Tour. So it's a tough road. You have to really love this game, and you have to really practice hard and work hard all the time. And, thank God to all the sponsors that are helping the SymMetra Tour by giving these young players a chance to reach their dream, follow their dream and reach it. So, my hat's off to all of those wonderful sponsors that are trying to help these young people find their way on the golf course.
Yeah, and without that opportunity, and granted, you've got to play pretty well in the SymMetra Tour just to break even. You're still probably driving, you're probably sharing a car, you're probably sharing a room. Not everybody, but on many occasions, that's the financial situation. And I believe you generally need to finish top 25-ish just to break even. So there's a lot of pressure on these ladies to perform. However, when I hear you describe that there was one qualifying tournament per year, that carried with it some pressure as well. How did you prepare yourself for just kind of the one shot in a million that you had, and then it's another 365 days until you can try again?
I'm telling you, it was scary. I was still playing a lot of amateur golf, and I felt like I knew how to win. I had sent in my application, so I was a declared professional. And I went to play in the Women's US Open at Hazeltine the week before I went to the qualifier. And I finished second there to Hollis Stacy. So my game was in good shape. So we go to a small town outside of Toledo, and I'm going to try and qualify. And back then, I think we had to have a 78 average after 4 days, and that's how we qualified. It wasn't anywhere like it is now, or anything like it is now. And I remember after playing so good in the US Open, so I carry that good game, and I'm going to a qualifier that's, life or death, a lot of pressure. And I think because I played so good in that open, my first round was like a 71. I really can't remember. It's been too long, but it was low. And then the second day I went to like 73. And then I'm getting more nervous. And the next day was 76. And then the next day I think it was 78. I don't know, but I did qualify. But I had that opportunity to be playing well before I went there, because otherwise I probably would have, because you do that. I mean, I would have been really nervous, going in there, maybe just playing a few tournaments, not really as prepared as I was because I played so well the week before. And yeah, it was nerve wracking. I remember that. I remember that feeling. I may not remember my scores, but I remember the way I felt.
One of the things about golfers in general that always amazes me is their sense of recall, their ability to look back on a number of years ago and probably remember a key shot or a key moment when either they succeeded or they, as you said, they got a little tighter on the collar. Uh, I mean, if we aren't going to run through them all, but if pressed, do you have key memories from each time you won? I mean, there's a lot of wins in there. I mean, could you go back and just draw out, oh, I remember on the seventh hole, I had to draw one around the tree, or are we a few years down the road now?
I'm a few years down the road, but I do remember a few. I mean, I remember my first one. My first win was in Sarasota, Florida, and had a two putt from about 25 feet. And when you're nervous, you always leave it short. I don't know if anybody's ever really made that comment, but that's really what happens when you're nervous. You leave it short. So I hit my first putt. I left it short about 1.5 feet, and it felt like when I stood over it was like 10 feet. I mean, I was so nervous. Can I take the putter back? That's how nervous I felt.
And what was the paycheck for that one? Do you remember?
Oh, I'm gonna say 35,000 first place, maybe.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong with that too. You might have to go back in history and look that up. Then I remember the times I beat Joanne Carner. That those are special wins for me because she was my idol and loved her. And if I could beat her, that's what I wanted to do because I just respected her so much. And I felt like I brought my best game when I played against her. And I always tell the story where we were at Waikagill outside in New York, and Saturday, and the press kind of did this with us. They kind of wanted to have a little bit of competition between Joanne and I. And on Saturday, she was kind of joking around, and she said that she was going to leave me in the dust on Sunday. And I did not play on Saturday well enough to get in the final group because she was in the final group on Sunday. And so I was in the group ahead of her. And we're playing Waikaga, which is at that time a long course for us. And we were long. Carner and I were pretty long hitters. And she said that, and I know she was just trying to, push my button a little bit, but I loved it and she loved it. So we're going out there on Sunday and I'm playing ahead of her. And, I got up in the morning, go, okay, let's see who's going to leave who in the dust. I'm talking to myself. I'm looking in the mirror at my hotel room, and I get out there and the crowds were great and they wanted Joanne to win and they wanted me to win. And I tee off and I birdied the first hole and the crowd goes wild. And so I kind of turn around and see if she was watching.
You look back at her.
I want to see if she watched that birdie. So it went like that all day long. When I could hear the cheers in the back, I knew she had made a birdie. So every time I made a birdie, which was a lot, I shot 65 on Sunday.
Oh.
I'd turn around, see if she heard it.
And
so I ended up beating her on Sunday with my 65. And I remember she walked up to me and she was always so great and gracious. And she said, congratulations. She says, I guess I'll never say I'm going to leave you in the dust again.
What motivates great champions is always an interesting study for me. In some cases, it could be, even if she meant it kind of jovially or just kind of friendly, if you take that as a challenge, some people respond to that well, and others press a little too hard and they can't sleep because they have those words kicking around in their mind, and they don't wake up and perhaps everything, the rhythms are all off. The the pre-round preparation timing and whatever it is. Everybody has such a different mechanism to run those things through. What was it about Nancy Lopez that, I don't know, that helps you kind of mold all of those sort of pressures into a championship mindset instead of a nervous pressing mindset?
I liked being nervous a little bit because I think it helped me play better. Um, I was not afraid to fail, which I think made a big difference in the way that I played because I had a great golfing father, which you don't find that very often. And my dad he was always there, always supporting me, and he didn't care what I did out there because he knew I was hard enough on myself. He didn't need to be hard on me too. So he let me fail, and I didn't get a barking at. When I was done, I didn't have that father that said, what were you thinking? What were you doing? What's wrong with you? Because I've seen that. And so I wasn't afraid to fail, Bill. And that's what makes a big difference in a player that's out there having fun, having a good time, learning from failure, because that made me better. And I did. I liked the pressure. I felt like it was a blessing to have pressure because that meant that I was in the game. I was there having a chance to win. So I use it as a positive.
We of course are talking a few days after the U.S. Women's Open at Olympia, and you're talking about pressure, and I say we as golf fans in America, we're certainly rooting for the next Nancy Lopez, the next great American golfer to come along and kind of claim that top spot. And it looked for most of that tournament and up until the back nine on Sunday, it looked like that might be where Lexi was headed. Lexi Thompson with a pretty good lead. And she didn't play very well on the back nine. And I have no doubt you've had tons of conversations with her over the course of her career. Was that one of those instances where you just kind of get in your own way? As you saw that unfold, what were your thoughts about what Lexi was going through?
I had a lot of thoughts that day because I wanted her to win so badly. She is a wonderful young person. She's got so much talent, but she is not a good putter. And I hate that because I've watched her practice. No matter how I kind of texted her and wished her well on Saturday night, told her to keep playing as great as she was playing. And then I waited a couple of days to text her. I have not heard back from her, but wanted to let her know I was available for her. And everybody wants to help her. I know. And I know she's got a teacher, but how many of these people and her teacher included have stepped over a 10-footer in a major championship to try and win?
Yeah.
I guarantee they haven't. I have. She has. I know that feeling. I know the pressure. I know what it feels like. I know what I had to do to take that putter back. I mean, there's a lot of stuff involved, and I would love to be able to help her. And I'm hoping that maybe she or someone will reach out to me, and maybe it won't work for her, but I have a lot of tips for her that would make her feel positive. I mean, she really struggles with her putter, which it just breaks my heart because that's easy. That's the easy part of the game. And she's got all the talent to get to the greens. It's just it's that putter that's really hurting her right now. And I'm kind of silly too because I'm superstitious. And she had that really cute outfit on, and she had that long sleeve whatever underneath that little vest. Well, she took that off about the time she started falling apart. And I swear it changed her feeling of her body, the warmth, the heat, whatever. I'm superstitious. When she took that off, I swear, and I'm not lying, I said, why did she do that? Why did she take that top off and she put the little vest back on? She looked adorable, but I'm like, why did she do that? It changed something. And I want to go back and see when she took it off, when her golf game started to kind of falter. And I swear it was when she took that little top off underneath her vest.
Well, you look at the putts on 17 and 18, and granted that was after the lead had all disappeared, but the putts on 17 and 18 were really, really not good putts. I'm not I like Lexi. I'm rooting for her, but that, as you said, it really showcases under pressure the weaknesses of your game, right? When the heat is on, I guess that's when those areas are magnified, and that was the end of it all.
Absolutely. Well, if you look at the other two players, watch the speed of their ball coming off the putter blade and
Yeah,
watch Lexi's.
yeah.
There's no comparison.
So am I being xenophobic to say that the LPGA Tour will struggle to build an audience in America as long as American players are not winning? Because I don't mean it to sound like a slam on the
No.
Asian players or whatever, but if we literally have never heard of this person before, or we haven't followed their development and growth, I don't know how we take any vested interest in what's happening.
I agree, Bill, and it's not, you're not knocking there's so many foreign players that play on our tour and they're wonderful, great athletes, good people. We need them on our tour, but I always give the example, you want your countrymen to win. I know when I went over to Korea, Sari Pak invited me to go to Korea and play in a tournament over there. It's like I was non-existent.
Hmm.
They were, they wanted Sari to win. That's their countrymen. And so over here in the United States, we want American players to win. Nothing against any of the players. The foreign players are, we're a worldwide tour now. And these players from all over the world are great players, great work ethics. They're just great players. So are American players. But a lot of my friends are like, well, we don't want to watch LPGA golf because we want to see the Lexi Thompsons win. And I'm like begging them, you got to watch LPGA golf. You're going to learn more from these players. All the players from all over the world are excellent players. You'll learn something from them. So, I'm wanting them to stay connected, but they're not interested as much if they don't have a Lexi Thompson or Corda sisters or, anybody, Christy Kerr, even watching her play, because she's a little, she's tough out there. And so they want to see an American player winning, and we need that. We need it desperately.
A couple of last questions for you. One of which would be advice to developing young players. I'm at a SymMetra tour event right now. What would you say if all those ladies gathered in a room and Nancy Lopez took to the microphone and she wanted to just give them one piece of advice about their aspirations and their balance with real life?
It's you're always looking for something solid to give those young players on the SymMetra tour, especially because they do struggle. My words to them is always to keep working hard. Don't get discouraged. It's not an easy life, hitting a little golf ball that doesn't move. You're trying to be great at doing that. But I think what happens, week in and week out, they get discouraged and not playing well. And then they start to struggle mentally, because the mental part of the golf game is what makes you win and makes you lose. I truly believe that. I don't think it's the mechanics. You've got to be able to believe that you're going to play great and hit the ball great. And it's more about being positive, that play happy that my dad always said. When you miss a shot, go to the next one with an attitude that I can hit this shot great. No, don't drag the bad attitude of that bad shot you just hit to the next shot, because it's not going to be a good shot. And I learned that from experience. It wasn't that I just say it, I did it. When I hit a bad shot, my dad, he was the cutest thing. He had the strong Spanish accent, and he saw when I was not happy about what I was doing, or if I hit a bad shot, he saw me get down on myself, and this was young. And he looked at me one day and he said, Nancy, you want to shoot 39 or you want to shoot 40? And I said, well, I want to shoot 39, Dad. He said, well, when you get mad, you shoot 40. And it made so much sense. Then I'm like, well, I don't want to get mad. I want to shoot 39, even though it was one shot, it was a big shot. And I think to encourage these players to have that attitude, to realize that they have the word pro in front of their name. How many people get to do that? To really enjoy that walk, to give them the opportunity to go out there and play this great game, and they're healthy, that they're healthy enough to get out there, swing a golf club, play golf, travel. Let's look at all the positives. Yeah, they're not winning every week and they're not hitting every shot great, but they have the opportunity with a good attitude to play better, to maybe win. And I think having that good attitude, if they can do it, it's like working out. Do it for 2 weeks. You're going to be addicted to it,
Right.
just like working out. And so I think if they can really think about 2 weeks of being solidly positive, that they're going to see that it does help their game and carry them on to the next steps.
I'm going to play that audio for a couple of the young ladies coming on the radio show. So we will share that advice directly from the legend
Okay.
herself. Nancy, thank you. I appreciate. I know you have a lot of things to do, so thank you for spending some time with us. And hopefully we'll talk again down the road. And if I had Lexi's number, her coach's number, I would pass along your number too. That needs to
Okay.
happen. So thank you so
All
much.
right. All right. Thanks, Bill.